looked like a safe haven from the raging storm.
It's an odd kind of place. Who'd your folks get it from, Boris Karloff?
Their hosts seemed like the essence of hospitality.
You can stay here as long as you like. Wonderful.
But appearances can be very deceiving.
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
What up?
This week, we're discussing the horror classic, Dolls. Starring...
Dude, it is a classic. It is a classic.
Okay, fair enough. Starring some vaguely recognizable people, perhaps, and
Not
some
really.
dolls.
Not much. And a
There's
lot
a-
of dolls.
A lot of dolls.
A lot of people you think look familiar, but then it's not actually them. But they are actors, but something, somewhere, something.
What's funny about this movie is there are people that I'm like, I have definitely seen this guy before. I don't know his
Right.
name. I've definitely seen him before. And then you scroll through the IMDb and you're like,
I've never seen any of this shit.
well, I mean, you're like, yeah, I saw that movie. And yes, I remember him being in it, but he wasn't the star. Why am I
Dude.
remembering him?
Because there's another dude who looks just like him.
That's
who was
a
in
possibility.
Foxes. Who's the dude who was in Foxes?
That you lost me there.
Oh my
I
God, I've
remember
lost
Little
my phone.
Darlings. I remember Little Darlings more than I
Foxes?
remember with Foxes, by the way.
I remember Foxes because they went to go see Sweet, but now I can't find my phone, so I'm practically having.
Let's look for the phone in the middle of the show. That's always much more interesting.
Listen here, young fella. It is because I wanted to Google Foxes and figure out who the dude is who looks just like the dude in this thing.
When you turn away from your microphone, believe it or not, it doesn't help the sound quality.
Is that correct?
That is
Alright,
correct.
I'll bear that in mind. But meanwhile, my phone.
Each
is
week on the podcast that wouldn't die, we discuss guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the horror and sci-fi genre with a comedic twist. Aaron, I'd ask how you're doing, but clearly not that hot.
What are you saying? Are you
I'm
saying
saying-
this?
Again, when
How
you
dare
do
sir? How
when you
dare
do sight
sir?
gags, we lose half our audience.
Or
Sweet
does
Jesus.
it just channel them right on over to our YouTube or our Patreon?
We don't have a Patreon. I tried to create one and I could never figure it out. I guess there's something I could do, but there aren't enough hours in the day. So at some point, maybe we'll have a Patreon. Someday,
You have
maybe not.
teenagers. Why aren't you putting them to work? They could be editing. They could be helping us with social promotion. Oh, found my phone. Black on
I'd be
black.
happy if they just did the dishes every now and again. Now I'm
That's
putting
too
them in
much.
charge of the podcast.
Exactly.
Sweet Jesus, we may be in trouble. So Little Foxes.
Not Little Foxes, because that is a movie with Betty Davis.
It's Little Darlings with Christy McNichol and Tatum O'Neal and young Armand Asante. I had a big discussion about Armand Asante on Facebook with somebody. When they saw we were reviewing Dredd, they thought we were reviewing Judge Dredd, which has
No.
Armand Asante in it. Go ahead.
I
what
love
were you saying?
Armand Asante. Oh my God. I can't believe he wasn't really French. He was born in New York. Foxes has Jodie Foster, Scott
Yes.
Baio, Sherry Carey, Sally Kellerman, and Randy Quaid. Oh, it's an all-star cast. I'll have to
That's
watch
the
again.
darker one. Little Darlings is not as dark as Foxes, if I'm remembering correctly.
I'm
Correct?
trying to figure out. There's a dude in this movie, though, the older adult who starts dating one of the kids, who is also on One Day at a Time, and I can't think of his name, but he always reminds me of this dude in this movie. Like they could be brothers.
Which dude in this movie reminds you of?
You know, the nice guy.
Okay. Ralph. You're saying Ralph reminds you of Richard Mazer from One Day at a Time? No, I know who
Is
you're
that who
talking
it is?
about.
You're
Michael
ta-
Lembeck from
No,
One Day
not
at a Time.
fucking Michael Lembeck. He was in Captain Cool and the Kongs.
Okay, now you've lost even me, Aaron. God
It was
damn it.
a fake band on Sid and Marty Krofft. You know, it's one of these situations where clearly I'm going to figure this all out long after anyone cared.
Well, let's be honest. No one really cares now. So,
Damn you. Damn you again.
sweet Jesus. This movie, Dolls, is one of those movies where it seems like we've already done it, but we have not. Because this is one of your all-time favorites, if I'm remembering correctly. Is that correct?
Yes, and Laura Dern is also in Foxes.
Yeah. It's like preteen girls hit the Hollywood Strip or something like that, and horror show.
They're LA kids.
Yes.
With their various neglectful parents. It's
Right.
Gen X coming of age with Sherry Carey, and they're all going to go see Sweet and date inappropriate people and F their whole lives up.
Right. It's like
Coming of age.
underage sex and drugs, if I'm remembering.
Right.
Like do you remember there was that book, Go Ask Alice? That was a thing.
I remember that such a book existed, but I never myself read that.
I did. Okay, for people who don't know, Go Ask Alice was a anonymous diary, although later people doubted its veracity. They thought somebody
Right.
just wrote it to be shocking. Where it's sweet girl next door, smokes a little weed, smash cut to she's a crack hoe and is dead by the time she's 15 or something like that. And she's
Right.
writing her diary. And that's how this isn't funny. I don't know why I'm laughing. Yeah, you see the steady progression, all because she took 2 sips of beer. she had a sip of communion wine one day, and that was it for her. It was off
That
to
put
the
her
races.
over the edge. The sweet, sweet communal wine.
That's how it starts. Anyway, but that kind of reminds me of Foxes, where it's that same kind of thing where it's like, what the hell? What are these kids up to? Anyway, that has nothing to do with Dolls. Aaron, we're all over the map. Aaron, give us the 30-second synopsis of Dolls, if you please.
A neglectful, divorced father and his new step monster traveling with child in England when the car breaks down and they break into an old haunted house, which is not haunted except by little demons who deal out a special kind of karma for bad people. Happy
Boom.
ending. All is well.
Now, you've obviously seen this 1,000 times. I have seen it
Thousands of
1,000
times.
times. Do you have any recollection the first time you saw it? I don't.
I think I rented it. I think it was one of these things where I would have like my ex-husband's buddy would come over and my ex-husband would go to bed and Sid and I would just stay up for and drinking King Cobra.
Oh, Jesus.
Get stung by the cobra and
It's got a
watch
bite.
movies till like 2 a.m, and then he would go on do his 2 weeks for the Navy Reserves with like 1 hour sleep.
Interesting.
Because those are the things you did when you were young.
Now, there was another movie that seemed to come out at the same time called Dolly Dearest, which I don't think I've ever seen, but I remember the 2 boxes were right next to each other at the Blockbuster or at the warehouse, if I'm remembering.
I got no memory of that whatsoever.
I never saw it, but I just remember it being there. But I've seen this countless times.
Absolutely.
And what's interesting is I didn't realize it watching it this time. This is another Stuart Gordon production, and we remember Stuart Gordon because he did Reanimator. He did From Beyond.
He's the one who's married to the step monster in this.
That's
right?
correct. She always has a little role in the other movies, but this one she's got a sizable role. Like she's arguably one of the leads in this
That's
movie.
all I need for my wealthy Hollywood producer / director husband. Just let me be corpse number 3 on LA Law. Let me be the prostitute walking behind the main actors. That's all I ask.
Well, and I always wonder how these conversations go. Do the directors now? This woman is she's totally fine, but I always think of your Sandra Locks, your Sherry Moon Zombies. Do the husbands know that their wives are talentless? That's my question to you. What do you think?
God, I'm not sure if I could be married to someone who is talentless. And if I was then compelled to like promote them. I mean, this isn't fucking Citizen Kane or something, but I
No,
wouldn't I wouldn't have respect if I was getting pressure knowing that they sucked.
look,
Because
Ricky
clearly
didn't put
she's not.
Lucy in the show. You know what I'm saying? Ricky
No,
did
no.
not put Lucy in the show,
But
so
in
he
real
knew.
life, Ricky wouldn't even been on the show if it wasn't for Lucy.
That is
Let's
true,
just
but in
say
the
that.
yes, but in the reality of I Love Lucy, Ricky's like, I'm not putting you in the show, Lucy, because in the reality of the show, you have no talent. You can't sing or do any of those things. In reality, of course, she's far more talented. But that's
Correct.
what I wonder about these things where it's like, does Clint Eastwood know, or did he know? Sandra Locke, horrible, but I'm with her and she's constantly, I'm trying to sleep and she's nudging me in the night saying, put me in the show. And don't just throw me, a background extra. I need to be the female lead of all your movies for the next 10 years.
I don't think that was her saying that. I think that director is a little Woody Allen, where they put their current sleep partner in the cast.
So
And
then,
by the way, he totally destroyed her life after they
yes,
broke
he
up.
did. It's a sad situation.
It's
Well,
a horrible story.
it's a horrible story, but you wonder. I don't know why we're talking about this for 20 minutes. We're 48 minutes into the podcast.
Because we
So
love trashy Hollywood too.
we do. Because as part of the divorce settlement or whatever, I don't remember what the deal was. She was supposed to get like some of her movies, like she was going to write and direct some shit, and then the studio was going to put those out. And I wonder.
Well, he bought her a house and said, "This is yours," and
Yes.
then he's sleeping with someone else, and now it's get the out.
Clint was notorious. You ask him how many kids he has, he goes, quite a few. Shrug emoji. He has no idea.
Not a cool dude. Not a cool dude.
Not a good dude. Now, you argue, is he going to the studio going, hey, you know what? Don't hook her up. Or is the studio going, now that you aren't covered under the umbrella of Clint Eastwood, we don't have to, do your crazy crap.
I listened to, you must remember this whole
Lay it on me.
podcast, this whole deep dive.
Yeah.
In order, he tricked her into signing this. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. You drop this palimony case
Right.
against the house that you've lived in now for so many years that I told you was yours, but really is not. And then we'll set up this plan for you to go on and make movies. And she's completely tied up with this contract, and he had her completely blocked and dead. She could not work anywhere.
Now, understand, she was married to another man since 1969 until the day she died. So I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, and he was married to someone else when they got together.
He was, no question.
He's a dirty dog.
He's a dirty dog, no question. Anyway, let's get this show. Enough of this malarkey. All I'm saying is,
with dogs, you're gonna get dirty.
True. All I'm saying is, does Rob Zombie know that Sherry Moon Zombie? I shouldn't say she sucks, because she doesn't suck. If you watch her and think she's fine, she's fine. But he's going to find a way to kind of shoehorn Sherry Moon Zombie into his movies. Correct?
I think that's his choice. I mean,
and
some
that's
of
his
these
choice.
people. I mean, like I said, Woody Allen, whoever he was boning, was always the lead character. It wasn't until the very end, because he's not throwing up his stepdaughter or whatever. Stepdaughter wife.
Soon Yi is not starring in the new one? No.
Yeah.
Well, he just look, if it's Mia Farrow or Diane Keaton, fine. No argument.
They know
No
what
argument.
they're fucking doing. I
Right.
always no, don't get me wrong. Sandra Locke, I always thought was
She sucks.
terrible. And
She was
stiff.
terrible. Terrible.
But
No
you
question.
know,
No offense, Sandra, if you're
whatever,
listening.
whatever. She was
Whatever
just
floats your
flat.
boat. Yes. Acting's hard. Acting is not something you
It
can
seems
just show.
easy, but it's not.
It's not easy. It's easy to
Otherwise,
stand
Kevin
in
and
front.
I would be famous. Damn it.
Absolutely. No question. Anyway, let's get this. Okay. Let's talk about
So
dolls.
your comment is you don't like the actress who plays the step monster.
It's fine. She's fine. She's fine. And frankly, it's not like she's the star of all of his movies. It's like she just often has a role in the movie,
Right.
you know? And sometimes her screen time is like 5 minutes. Fine. Whatever floats your boat. Whatever. Anyway.
Dude,
Good
I would
Lord.
insist on that. I would
Absolutely.
insist. I don't even have to have lines. Just let me show up to the set everywhere. Let me be a dead person here. Let me be someone who stares at you at the supermarket. That's all I need.
Let me be a dead person in
I don't-
every scene.
I have
Even
a
scenes that
terrible
don't need
memory.
one.
I really don't want to memorize a lot of lines. So just insert me as you will.
Interesting. Okay,
It'll
let's
be
go to the
like an Alfred Hitchcock. Can you find Aaron in this film?
Absolutely. That's the question. Let's go to the highlights of Dolls. Aaron, this was
Dude,
your
there-
choice.
Because there are only highlights. This has some fantastic stop motion animation.
It truly
that I
does.
love. I mean, they brought it.
Yes.
This is clearly, it doesn't seem like it'd be a super big budget, and
Doesn't.
a lot of people like never really acted again. Some people got their, like, the people after watching this, some of the people you thought, well, they never made a movie again, actually went on to strong careers.
Strong careers might be
All right,
pushing it a bit.
Punker girl who's not in the AHA video
Yes.
actually had a lengthy career. I was like, what the? Who'd have thought she was the shining star?
Right. That is true. You're right. Oh God. So that's okay. First of all, what's interesting to me is you said in the English countryside. We're assuming it's the English countryside because there are Americans just pulling up left and right. Right? Half the
As
cast.
one does.
Right. So who the hell knows if this is the suburbs of Chicago? Is this Liverpool? No one has any idea where this could possibly be because there's a variety of
England.
accents flowing like rain. So good time.
Because they have to fly home to Chicago. I feel strong that they are in the UK somewhere.
It seems like that, but it's like kindly Ralph pulls up, like it's revealed at the end. He's got like some schnazzy, what is that? Like some kind of Rolls Royce Roadster.
I thought it was like an MG or something.
Who the hell knows? But it's like a classic automobile, to say the least.
There
So
were some
Ralph's doing all
homies
right
I
for
went to
himself.
college with had that.
What?
In Humboldt, can you believe that? To have a car that's always a convertible?
Yeah,
In the
I guess that
pouring
doesn't make a lot of
rain.
sense. So when the movie starts, you've got the grouchy, wicked stepmother, the awful father, who's like, it's like they're kind of cartoonishly bad parents.
Right.
I mean, early on, they don't want this to be truly upsetting in terms of how they're treating this little girl, but it is kind of a Cinderella-ish kind of parental situation, and you almost think like, is the mom dead? No, she's not dead. She just lives in Boston, and during the summers, the kid goes and visits the dad, who clearly doesn't want her in the first place. So I don't know.
Yeah, which makes no sense.
Right.
Which makes no sense.
Usually the parents are fighting over the children, not fighting. You take them. No, you take them. Traditionally. Aaron, you need to stop surfing the internet on your phone, because remember now half the audience just sees you.
I keep thinking that the Stephen Lee character is in Foxes, so I just went back again.
He's not.
Son of a bitch. Maybe it's Randy Quaid, and I just got confused. We need to all watch Foxes again.
Yeah, let's
Continue on. You have my attention
do that.
to one of the greatest horror movies of all time.
Clearly. And the car gets stuck in the mud. Now it seems like that was by design. Doesn't it seem like the car
It
is
is a
meant to
trap.
get like it does
It
seem
is a
like a trap.
Because I assume, this is pre-Amazon, but they've got orders to fill. So they have to go ahead and shrink people and put their little demon bodies inside their Punch and Judy dolls. That's why I think I never owned a Punch and Judy doll, because I secretly knew that they were creepy and evil. And now we have
Well,
proof.
well, and not to only that, Punch and Judy historically is literally it's called Punch because he's hitting Judy all the time. It's like domestic
Doesn't
violence.
he beat her to death?
Something like it ain't good. Whatever it
good.
is.
Bad
For
puppet.
goodness sake. Bad puppet. So the little girl Judy, is carrying her teddy, and wicked stepmother takes it and just throws it in the bushes for no goddamn reason. She's
And
like, "You're moving too."
could give a F. And they're acting like they're on their honeymoon.
Yes. So, so then there is a weird, because evidently Judy has an overactive imagination. So Teddy comes out of the bushes. He's now 10 feet tall and claws and fangs. And I'm just like, is Judy a psychopath? When this is revealed, this is just a daydream she's having. This is a terrifying daydream. Get this kid some therapy or something. Shock treatment.
Exactly. She'd be like, "Oh, Teddy, you
That
killed
was
my daddy."
right. The parents
Bad
are murdered.
Teddy.
Parents are murdered by Teddy in this daydream or whatever it is. And she goes, "Teddy," and Teddy kind of shrugs. That
He's
was
like,
kind
"What do you want me to do, kid?"
of
What if this is
please.
all being controlled by Judy? She's some kind of little witch troll, and she's setting all these wheels in motion, because that's the first bit of craziness. I don't remember wishing bears to rip my parents up to chunks and pieces because they did something
Not traditionally.
uncool and crazy out of control.
Yeah.
No.
Not usually. That's
No.
for sure. But earlier they had like driving by in their Jag had almost run over two rocker chicks who were wandering
Punk
by the side of the
rockers.
road.
They actually look
mean,
more like Madonna, quite frankly.
They
Let's be
did.
clear. It
They
was like
did.
early 80s Madonna is exactly what they look like.
They had crazy eye makeup, which I don't remember Madonna having. It was like Adam Ant wearing Madonna's clothes was the eye makeup.
It was a
that I saw.
general dipping of 80s. It was all 80s all the time in two little girls.
Well, and one of them, like the girl from the Aha video, "Take on Me," seemingly had like a gold unibrow or something. I don't know what. Who designed this stuff? Was this big back in '85, Aaron? I don't recall.
Headbands were big in 85. Just ask Jackie Stallone. But yeah, I wasn't sure if that was some kind of like Blade Runner smoky eye makeup, or
Could be.
like I can't afford a headband, so I just took like eyeshadow and worked that across my forehead. Not sure.
Unclear. So the family sees a mansion in the distance. So they, the car's stuck in the mud. They knock on the door, can't get in, and have to break into a storeroom, right, where they're greeted by the elderly toy maker husband and wife who live there, basically. And this is all part of the plan.
Just sat in your car, or what?
Well,
you have to break if your car breaks down and it's raining. You have to break into the closest house you find.
You have to break in. Well, and here's the thing: if this was part of the evil, are they evil? The toy maker and the wife. Why not just answer the front door? Ooh.
It's true. Well,
What?
they want to judge, so now they have something to judge.
I mean, it's a trap? It's like a morality trap, just to see what they do if we don't immediately let them in. Do they break in?
It is a morality trap, but at the same time, I'm not so sure that the old couple are that pious. They are witches.
They are
trapping
witches.
souls for all time.
Yes, they establish later. Somebody says, "What is this witchcraft?" And they say like, "Oh, I believe he's figured it out." So you don't see you don't see them casting spells or stirring cauldrons or any shit, but clearly there's some kind of magic going on with the dolls. Um, so there's
Dude,
all that stuff.
they're all sitting in the bookcases, and their eyes all turned, and they get the crazy look. See, this is why these dolls are scarier than Annabelle. First of all, Annabelle is literally the ugliest looking motherfucking doll. No child would want it. It
Right?
looks like trash. These
Yes.
sweet little crazy retro dolls are so much more terrifying because they appear to be innocent. Whereas, Annabelle is the Jack Nicholson. You know she crazy.
Oh, no question. No question. I will say this that I thought was very effective is that early on, when they walk into the rooms and the dolls are sitting on the shelves or whatever, and the light kind of passes over them, you almost go like, did their eyes move? Or was that just
Uh-huh.
kind of an optical? I did I mean, look, you walk in there knowing what you're gonna get. You know eventually these dolls
It's
are gonna be
called
running around.
dolls.
It's called
Something's
dolls,
gonna
for God's
happen
sake.
with the dolls.
Exactly. So they didn't, they kind of subtly kind of suggested it at first, right? Then
By
later
the
you
end, there
see
ain't no suggestion.
there's no
Yeah.
suggesting. Well, and the dolls were clearly supposed to be like porcelain or whatever, but they were clearly made of like some kind of rubber or something so that they could like kind of manipulate. So they'd
Yeah.
sneer and kind of look at you. And they all had crazy bloodshot eyes that are like looking at you.
And
So
they're
they were,
way, way open. They're like super open and
yes.
looking around. I love
Look,
it. That's what made it even more terrifying. When all of a sudden they're all turned their head and are all looking at, but it's walls and walls of them.
yes.
Oh my God,
I,
this movie is so good.
I loved how this is Judy, she's a kid of the 80s. Okay. I'm trying to envision a kid of the 80s who's probably about my age, let's be honest, at the time,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
If I went to an old, country mansion in England and every room was filled with crazy porcelain dolls, I'm not like, ooh, cool. At best, I'm like, this is boring. Get me the hell out of here. At worst, I'm terrified. Get me the hell out of here. Right? It's never like, ooh, let me play with some porcelain dolls.
And
Is it a
let's
guy
just be
thing?
very cool, very clear that at no time in the 70s or 80s were porcelain dolls anything but ick. Although our sister Brianna had a bunch, but I think those were just gifts from the grandma.
Those were gifts from the grandma.
To prove a point, I needed a bunch of porcelain dolls, so I had a friend buy some. There was a antique store going out of business. The last day,
Yep.
everything was $1. She got me 5 fairly tall porcelain dolls because I was Krampus and I needed to put children in my sack.
Right?
So then I took them up to Lake Arrowhead for Thanksgiving, figuring I'd pot them off on your kids. Oh no.
Interesting.
Nobody was going to touch that.
Nobody's
So the
going to
whole
touch them.
weekend, I just kept moving them around the house, putting them behind doors and such. I believe we abandoned them at that haunted house.
Let me tell you a little story. My son Caleb, if you look behind me, there's a crazy doll right there.
It's
Boom,
not one of
boom.
mine, is it?
Who knows? Eventually, Caleb, he thinks it's hilarious that it's just terrifying. It doesn't match anything, doesn't go with anything. There's just a crazy porcelain doll. I don't even know if it's porcelain. Just a jacked up Annabelle sitting there staring at people. He thinks it's hilarious. When he first got it, I would like move it
Where did he
surreptitiously and
get
not
it?
say anything. I don't know if I think if I'm remembering this correctly, there was I think a garage sale in our
Oh, too
neighborhood.
bad. I really wanted you to say it was left over from the haunted Thanksgiving.
It might have been in retrospect. I'm an old man. It's hard to remember stuff. No. So but that's the thing. It's like the old witch couple love little Judy because she's a
Uh-huh.
child, your child, they're innocent and pure, and of course they love nothing more than rooms just packed full of creepy dolls.
And especially a nice punch doll that looks like a deformed lima bean. That's the worst.
Yes, it's the worst. So later, the punk rock girls, Madonna girls, show up with Ralph. And Ralph is kind of, I mean, an oversized. They keep saying he's an oversized child. He's young at heart. All this stuff.
Are
He
they
just
saying
seems
he's
like
developmentally delayed, or what?
he's an
What
imbecile.
exactly?
He is. Yes, he is. He is an imbecile. Um,
I think
he.
I think he's really more of an incel. I think is what we're looking at here. And if they were video games that weren't like Pitfall,
Yes.
he would have been lost deep into the internet.
Absolutely. No question. Well, that's the thing. When he arrives, he's like, I don't know, what do you think? 40, 35, something along those lines.
He's
He
probably in his
evidently,
early 30s.
maybe early 30s. He had picked up the punker girls and brought them in. And they, of course, are immediately super bawdy and inappropriate with him. And his reaction is like, ooh, hey. They're like nervous, chuckling, and hey,
He is
steer clear.
clearly terrified of them. Clearly
Terrified.
terrified, which only is throwing blood in the water for them.
That's correct. They're a little too fast, a little too advanced for
Little fast, little
32-year-old
loose.
Ralph. So yes,
And
it's
all that scary Madonna makeup. Nothing says sex like glitter and
nothing
lace.
does. Let me write this down. Absolutely. So they're all going to stay the night because it's a storm and everybody's car got stuck in the mud. Bah, 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 bah. The Madonna girls, it's revealed, are basically just out to rob Ralph. Like they want to steal his wallet, but then later they're like, "Well, we're in this this jacked up old mansion. Let's steal their antiquities or whatever. What did they call it? Antiques?
Antiques.
Right? Because they're burglars and morons. So
Yeah.
good times.
Clearly they're drug addicts, but there's no
Yes.
drugs in this. But I think they're supposed to be like the bad punks that were roaming the countryside.
They were bad with the Liberty Spikes and
They were a
yes,
little
so-
punky, a little sassy.
little sassy. What's interesting is the old witch couple immediately suss out who are the bad people and who are the good people. So they put the bad people like in one wing. They're like, here you go. Mean parents, you're in this room. You know, little Judy, who's 8.5, she's going to be in the opposite wing in this creepy old mansion, and she's cool with that. Interesting.
How would that? And the parents are cool with that. Michael Jackson, why don't you just let her sleep in the bed with you?
Absolutely. Pour her a
What the
glass
hell?
of Jesus juice and call it a day, right? Some
Ay,
propofol.
caramba.
Very upsetting. So yeah, Ralph and Judy, and Ralph, of course, is accused of being a pedophile later in the movie.
Multiple times.
Multiple times, but of course in kind of a jokey way. You know, I mean,
Well, a
they're
jokey
serious.
way, and until the dad is going to kill him because he thinks he's a pedophile.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's played serious, but it's clearly not that serious. You know what I mean? In the world of this movie, it's supposed to be deadly serious. But of course, if you really thought this is not a funny scene, you're like a father confronting the pedophile who's been spending too much time with their daughter. This is the 80s, and being accused of
Things
being
were
a
a lot
pedophile.
looser with pedophilia back then.
Absolutely.
It was like there was
It's a
Dr.
punchline.
Menno songs.
Right.
Kinky, the kid-loving clown. If the kids just love me back, I'll never wear a frown. It was just all fun and games in the 80s.
We talked about how in the 70s and 80s there were too many songs about adult men courting women who, if we're lucky, are in high school. If we're lucky.
Young girl, get out of my mind. My love for you is way out of line. Better run, girl. You're much too young, girl. I mean, please. People are singing
Yes.
this at weddings.
At weddings, at a certain type of wedding. Absolutely. She's just 16 years old. Leave her alone, they said. Yes! Yes, they said leave her alone. It's a crime.
It's
Anyway.
a crime, except if you're in Alabama.
That it's encouraged. Anywho.
No,
Yes.
I told you. I went to school with a girl, got married at 14 in Alabama because she got pregnant. So you're allowed to then get married.
Good Lord.
Not
Okay.
married to the same person anymore.
Shocking. Shocking. Am I sitting down? Yes, I am. Anywho, let's bring it back to dolls. One thing I've been babbling on. Aaron, what you got? Hit your notes.
God, I love the one of my favorite parts, and I'm just jumping around
Please
all of
jump,
this,
jump.
is what's the dude's name? The not pedophile and Judy are in a closet with 1,000 dolls, and he
Yes.
realizes he's trapped because they've blocked his way. So he starts stomping on dolls,
Yes.
and the dolls were not gonna have that. And Judy checked him, and then they had to have all the dolls had a conference
That was a
about
great scene.
that was one of the best scenes. That the dolls had a conference whether he's really an adult or still a child, because one was gonna have one end and the other was gonna have another end. They're like, he's an idiot, so they let him go free. But that
Well,
was
that's
great because they were all like having deep discussions. They turn around and look
yes.
at him and jibber jabber with each other. Oh my god, fantastic!
Oh, it was
Fantastic.
great. I mean, and
It was
that was
great.
like claymation or something, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Stop.
it's the stop motion animation. Yeah,
It was
fantastic.
really
It
effective.
was really effective, really good.
But what's funny is because they already established they've murdered people for less.
Yeah.
Those dolls, truly. I mean, the one, like
They
they
have
tried to
this
kill
much patience for your bullshit.
for reals. I mean, they murdered Aha for trying to steal some shit.
Mhm.
Like she stole a couple things. Next minute, she's being dragged across the floor, blood like a blood trail down the
They're going
hall.
like Code of Hammurabi justice.
Absolutely, an eye for an eye. Or you steal our shit, we murder you. Is basically what it is.
We kill your soul and shove you into a doll.
Pretty much, right? But and her friend, it seemed like they were going to kill her, and I don't think she had done anything. Now later
Guilt
she
by
starts
association.
stomping.
Yeah. Once you start stomping,
Later
it's
she's
all over.
yes, they were coming to get her, so then she starts stomping, and that's the reveal that like the dolls break open. There's some kind of slimy little
Oh
creature.
yeah, all skeletal, gray,
Yeah,
nasty little business inside.
a slimy skeleton and underneath, squishy. So she
Kevin,
gets.
crack that doll open behind you. See if there's anything inside.
I will definitely not be doing that. For God's sakes, I some questions I don't need answered.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, and I'm trying to think, and then they pretty much murder the folks. They murder the stepmother for being kind of a bitch,
She
right?
is.
We
Yeah.
didn't see her smack the child or anything, or she didn't say, "Give me my belt," right? They just now, granted, she jumped out the window to escape their wrath, but it didn't take much.
Quite frankly, I
To,
don't think she meant to jump out the window. I thought she was just trying to get over them and then went a little too far.
Is she an Olympic high jumper? You're
She
saying
looked very surprised when she just kept going.
she's like Michael Jordan, right? She's
The
just
reality
jumping.
is that the parents actually didn't do anything to the old people.
No, they
They're
didn't.
just dicks.
That's what I'm saying. The only the one who did anything to the witch people was Aha, because she tried to steal some shit. That was it.
Well,
She didn't bop
quite
anybody on the head.
frankly, until the
Yes.
trial, the doll trial, they were trying to get rid of the big boy too. Remember, they pushed him down the stairs. They bit his ankle, and he fell down the stairs. He was like, "I think I
Absolutely.
got a rat bite." Is that a
Right. Well,
thing?
like
Do
a
rats
bloody
just run
old
up to people and start biting you? I don't want
nibbledy
that.
nibble. It's possible. No, you're right. They clearly they kind of were fast and loose. It's like I think we were
I think
supposed
they
to
just
think.
kill adults.
I think you're right. I think that's what it comes down to. They just kill adults, right? If they aren't avenging anything, they aren't. There's no justice that they're doling out. They just kill adults. And for some reason, Ralph, they're like, because
like-
you seem to appreciate the dolls, then clearly we think of you as you're a child at heart. Even though, like we said, when they go down to that storeroom and they're surrounded, Ralph stomps on quite a few of them.
Yeah.
Squish, squish. And then they're still kind of wondering, what should we do? They killed people for less. That's all I'm
They
trying to
killed
say.
people. He was a lucky duck. All I can tell you is that they were like, there was a long
Right.
discussion what to do.
It was a long discussion. Now, look, and they were swarming him. He was on the ground and they were all over him trying to kill him. But again,
Dude,
these things
they
probably
used
weigh
all
4
the
ounces.
Madame Alexanders for like a 10-mile circle.
Yes, absolutely. But these things are light as a feather. It's like, I can't imagine. Now, there's a scene where the second Madonna chick comes around the corner and there's like, toy soldiers in the hall.
Oh, that was good though. That was good too.
You knew she just stands there. You knew what they were going to do. You've already been attacked by scary dolls.
I'm
You know
not
they're
waiting to
packing
see what's
heat.
going on. Push them down and get the hell out. Why you gotta wait? You gotta stop. It's like American Werewolf in London. I'm not gonna sit there for 25 minutes while you go through this change and then rip my throat out.
Absolutely
If
not.
I wait 25 minutes, then I deserve my throat getting ripped. If you wait for them to go through this whole ceremony of pointing the guns at you and shooting you, not once, but twice, then you get what you get and you don't throw a fit.
Right. Absolutely. Now, one thing I noticed is that there are multiple scenes of people just screaming because they're being murdered or pursued by the dolls, and no one else seems to hear shit. Like somebody's literally in the hallway screaming.
That's
Go
old
ahead.
construction, man. That's when they built things solid.
That's not corkboard.
Exactly. It's not like my last apartment where I can hear the upstairs neighbor like literally taking a piss. Like you wake up in the middle of the night, it sounds like someone's pissing on your forehead.
Yes.
That kind of thin walls.
And that's a thin wall. Absolutely. There's a scene where punk rock chick like starts lighting the dolls on fire with a candle, and
With
they
the
go
never ending Zippo too.
never ending Zippo, and the dolls go up like they're dipped in kerosene or jet
Yeah.
fuel or something. I mean, they just go up, boom. So at some point, she deserved to get killed by the dolls, I guess. When you light 5 of them on fire, they're dolls. They're
That's
6
what
inches
Jesus
tall.
says.
Run for your
Yeah.
life. Anyway, good
Mhm.
Lord. What else you got?
I also enjoyed the dad getting shrunk down into the punch doll, as is his just desserts, and I found it exceptionally delightful when at the end he actually speaks to his daughter in his crazy voice, and they're all like, "Yang, yang, 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 let's get out of here."
Well, and that's a reveal, is that everyone who is killed over the course of the movie becomes a doll that they're putting on the shelf for the next, unlucky visitors that come. So my question to you is, when you become a doll, you lose all your agency. Now you're just a killer doll. Is that what occurs?
It sounds like, hey, we're here. Why not get in on it? Because the dad is freely talking all of a sudden, although the rest of them don't seem to be talking so much. So maybe it's like once you've crossed over to that threshold, your likes and dislikes may change.
They change.
Now I do like sauerkraut on my hot dogs.
You don't like sauerkraut? No, not on hot dogs. On a brat. A good brat with some sauerkraut on there, a little spicy brown mustard. What do you think?
Yes. No, I was just using it as an example. Of course
Okay.
I love sauerkraut.
Now we're talking.
There you go.
End of the movie. Everyone else is dead except for Ralph, the neighborhood pedo, and little Judy. And I appreciate the old witch couple saying, they're like, right, here's a letter that your dad left us in the night. They left suddenly. Hey, we've moved to another country and changed our name. So we'll never see you again.
P.S. We're giving the punk rockers a ride home. As soon as you ask what happened to them, P.S. We gave the punker girls a
that
ride
was a
too.
hilarious moment. It was hilarious. He's like reading the note, and then the guy's like, "What happened to the British chicks?" Oh, hang on. Addendum. P- Can I see
This
that? He
movie
throws it in the
is
fire.
creepy and scary and funny.
And funny. So they ask Pedo Joe, "Hey, would you mind accompanying Judy back to Boston to visit the mom, who really should not be sending Judy to go spend time with her father anyway? He's horrible,
Out of the country, yeah. No, no.
and we've changed our names."
And we change our names. We will never contact you again. The end. Nor will your mother ever receive any kind of support. Sorry. Something
Well,
wasn't important.
he said something along the lines that, we had to, what was it? We have to share joint custody to get some money or something, like that was
No,
why.
he doesn't have to pay. So you try to do
Uh,
a 50-50. If it's 50-50, that's why it's never really 50-50. Then you don't have to, there's no checks back and forth.
interesting. Any other thoughts about dolls before we move on behind the scenes?
I thought that it was fun that the dolls were deeply affected when Judy kept calling them bad dollies.
Oh,
No,
they stopped and looked at each other. Their faces are not that articulate, let's be honest.
It's still funny as it is still funny as hell.
Yes, it was. I enjoyed it.
It kind of reminded me of the old Rudolph kind of stop animation, but funnier.
But funnier. Absolutely. This movie really, it only has one kind of really gross moment, and that's when the guy's getting in bed with his dead wife, and he didn't realize it. And he pulls the covers back, and like part of her head is clearly like an
There's always
eyeball's
like an
hanging out.
eyeball hanging on a cheek, And then, of course, it's just like Poltergeist, where now mysteriously her body starts rolling on top of you. You're like,
Yes.
where's this coming from? Was this on a waterbed
Yes.
and he flopped down and she just rolled on top of him?
Yes. It's like Raiders of the Lost Ark, where bodies
Yes.
that have been under the ground for 2,000 years are now just moving and rolling on you all the time.
Exactly.
They were
Something's
fine.
trying to spill into your mouth.
Yes.
Thank you, Sam Raimi.
Pretty standard.
And then the other gruesome time is when they're murdering the Aha girl by just ramming her head into the baseboards repeatedly.
That was just kind of stupid, in all honesty. Because it's like she's down on the ground, and you evidently we're supposed to think the dolls, again, 6-inch, 4-ounce dolls, are holding her by the arm and then just heave like they're trying to bash her
Crack
into the
her
wall.
walnut.
She gets one crack into the plaster, pulls back, and now suddenly she's just dipped in blood.
Well, later on, we discover part of the witchery doll process.
Yes.
Apparently, it's slightly different for her because at some point, her friend finds her up in the attic where she's able
Yes.
to talk and try to. You can't really see Aha girl. She's in the darkness, but she's whispering, "Go away, stay away from me."
Yes.
And we get over there, and she has like a lifelike mask on her face, but like her eyes are popped out, and she has to pick them up and shove them back into her eye holes.
Right. She has like doll, like marble eyes that just fall out of the sockets and bounce on the floor. Yeah.
Which is a different process than when Dad was turned into a doll. He just shrank.
Correct. And we're going to talk about why they had to have a scene with the doll's eyes falling out. This is a thing
I
behind the
can't
scenes.
wait. All right.
Are you
I
ready?
think that's it, though. It's a delight and a classic.
It's a delight and a classic. Let's go behind the scenes, shall we?
We shall.
We talked about the fact that in the poster for this movie, it shows a doll with kind of a half skull face, kind of like pulling her eyes out of her socket and holding the eyes.
Yeah.
Basically, the producers of this movie, because this is a Charles Band movie. Okay, this is before Full Moon Entertainment. He owned a different company called Empire. Empire movies. So
Dude,
they
I
had
love
the
Disney
poster.
Entertainment. So they were the A24 of their time.
They were indeed. But in kind of classic canon films style, they had the poster first.
Yes.
They had the poster first and brought it to Stuart Gordon and said, here's the poster. Do whatever the hell you want, as long as this moment kind of goes in there. So they had to have that moment, even though,
It doesn't
good
really
grief.
make sense for the rest of the movie. Yeah.
Right. They said
Hey, do what
basically,
you gotta do. I mean, they
right.
could have made it make sense. They chose not to.
They chose not to. Yeah. Producer Charles Band's simplistic pitch of a movie about a killer doll. That's all they had. And writer Ed Naha was given total creative freedom, though producer Brian Yesna insisted that the poster art would correlate to a scene in the film. And that was it. That was it.
I'm telling you, they made a masterpiece because I can't imagine that stop motion is cheap. It's got to be super time consuming.
Yes.
But it was great. It was super great. It was super fun.
This film was shot before Stuart Gordon's next film, From Beyond, and was shot on the same sets, but released almost a year afterwards due to all the doll effects in post-production.
I was gonna say that had to take forever and ever. I'm
Yep.
surprised when you're dealing with schlock that they spent all that time and are willing to throw all that money down for it. But
Yep.
I'm glad they did.
The
Because I gotta
whisper.
tell you,
Go
I
ahead.
gotta tell you, I prefer this to the Puppet Masters, which is the stepchild of these.
Well, they're very similar. They're
Right.
very similar. But what's
Although
interesting,
there are no Nazi dolls in this one.
we've had people suggest, are you doing the Puppet Master? Why haven't you done the Puppet Master? And that kind of inspired us to go and do Dolls, which is not
Right.
Puppet Master, but is kind of the ancestor of
And
the Puppet Master.
Gabriel goes on to Puppet Master after this.
Oh, there you go.
He is the Puppet Master.
The whispering sounds of the dolls were done by a group of Stuart Gordon's friends and family, including his kids and his wife, Carolyn Purdy Gordon, who of course plays the wicked wicked stepmother. I'm having an episode. Let's see. We talked about this. The fashions worn by Enid and Isabel were inspired by Madonna, who is often photographed sporting the same boy toy belt that Cassie Stewart wears in the film.
Totally. It was totally a look. Watch it, kids, and think this is what half the high schoolers were rolling up on.
We talked about how actress and model Bunty Bailey, who plays Isabel, is the girl in the Norwegian pop group Aha's music video, Aha, Take On Me.
I thought she did
1985.
other things, but no, she lived her life as a video model. So she'll forever be in the na 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 na. She'll forever be
Yes.
his girl. That's it.
This was her feature
Immortalized.
film debut. Boom.
And right. Or did she do one after that? She's still kicking it, I think, but I think she retired.
Let's see. Guy Rolfe, who plays the witch toy master, whatever the hell he is.
Gabriel.
Gabriel. He had to bleach his hair white for this film, and he wasn't particularly happy when his hair originally came out yellow. Even though he's old as the hills. Good
I have
grief.
to say, I kept looking. I'm like, I know him from somewhere. Is he like some famous old British actor? No,
He's been in stuff.
He's a famous old British actor if you're British, but
That's true.
I didn't know any of his shit besides Puppet Master.
Director Stuart Gordon was afraid of porcelain dolls in real life.
Well, who
Boom.
isn't?
But who isn't? Absolutely. Cigarette smoke was used to create the smoky effects of the dolls being destroyed when their porcelain breaks.
I'm sorry, because we didn't have like fog machines. We just had a bunch of old secretaries with their Pall Malls.
Yes. To answer your question,
They
yes.
blew all their budget on the animation, so they had to just get some the key grips in there.
That's it. Well, they were already smoking. Absolutely.
They dragged the Teamsters in.
Let's see. Stuart Gordon chose Hilary Mason for the film based on her performance in No. Hillary Mason, we saw her in Don't Look Now. With she was she was the clairvoyant sister that predicted that
What?
Donald Sutherland was going to die, and
You
Julie
were
Christie.
right.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Isn't that funny? Yeah. Bring him back.
Now
Bring
that you
him
say
back.
that, she looks exactly the same. She looks exactly
Absolutely.
the same, even though this is like 10 years later. She is a witch.
She's a witch.
Yeah.
Guy Rolfe was cast in this film based on his performance in Mr. Sardonicus, which is a horror movie from 1961. You familiar with that one?
I believe I've seen it, but I'm for now just calling you and yes, Mr. Sardonicus. What do
It's
you
about-
have to say for yourself?
It's something like in the movie he gets so afraid that he's like permanently has a crazy like rigid like smile on his face,
I love
and that's
it
his
already.
curse. Yeah,
Is
it's a
Vincent
thing.
Price and Mr. Sardonicus?
No, Guy Rolfe is in it. Shall we go cast and crew? Good Lord.
All right.
Directed by Stuart Gordon. We talked about him. You know him from such things as Reanimator,
Yes.
From Beyond,
Yes.
Fortress, Stuck. I don't know
No.
what that is. Castle Freak. The list goes on
Yes.
and on.
Castle Freak. We haven't visited that in a long time.
No, we need to. Ian Patrick Williams plays David Bauer, the evil father. You know him for such things as Superhero Movie in 2008.
No. I
He
do
was
not know him
the-
from that.
You don't? He was the Swiss professor in Reanimator. He was David Bauer in Dolls. And he was in 2 episodes of Prison Break playing Bearded Man.
See, those are the roles I want. Bearded lady.
The Bearded Lady.
1 foot slightly shorter than her other.
Absolutely.
On LA Law.
Carolyn Purdy Gordon played Rosemary Bauer, also called Mama Rosemary.
I love that. Mommy Dearest.
You know her from Fortress,
No.
Reanimator,
Yes.
From Beyond,
Yes.
Dolls, and
Yes.
she's married to the director. So basically, any
anymore.
movie he does, they're
He
not.
dead. He
Oh
dead.
well, love is eternal. Carrie Lorraine played young Judy Bauer. You know her from such things as Dolls.
Yes.
She was in Poltergeist 2, The Other Side.
Which one
she
is
was-
that? Is that what the old guy who led his people off to some mass grave underneath their house now?
Something like that. She was in
It's the
one
old True Love
episode.
Man, right? That was the Poltergeist 2, where it was like
Yes.
a cult, right? Oh,
Yes, they give more information as to why the house is haunted. Basically,
I got you.
Um,
She's one of the grayed out followers, I'm guessing.
that's correct. She was in one episode of the hit TV series Buffalo Bill with Dabney Coleman,
Oh,
and she
God.
was in one episode of Alf. So long, illustrious career.
So her career lasted about 2 years, and then she went on to other things.
Pretty much. Guy Rolfe played Gabriel Hartwick, the witch toy master, whatever he is.
Yes.
You know him from 1953's Operation Diplomat. He was in Dolls. He was
Yes.
Toulon in Puppet Master 4 straight to video. And in 1952, he was in Ivanhoe playing Prince John.
Oh,
There you go.
I think I've seen that. Now, back to straight to video. I'm just assuming anything from Full Moon was straight to video. None of that stuff is theaters, right?
I believe you're right.
Subspecies, Doll Man, Puppet
Bloodstone,
Master,
all that
so many
stuff.
treasures.
Hillary Mason played Hillary Hartwick. You know her from Don't Look Now. She was in Robot Jocks in 1989.
No.
She was in Aquila, 9 episodes from 97 to 98,
Aquila
playing Mrs.
B?
Murray. It might be Aquila. I don't know, some British thing. And she was in Dolls. Good
All
stuff.
right.
And I'm going through basically the entire cast. Bunty Bailey, we talked about, played Isabel. You know her from Dolls, Defunct in 2008. She was in the Wild Boys video for Duran Duran.
Wild boys! Wild boys!
She was in Spellcaster in 1988.
Well, that
And of
smells
course-
like a full moon name.
Absolutely. We talked about she's basically famous for Aha. Take on me.
She was being a video girl was like a thing in the 80s. It was,
It was
a
a
job.
thing.
I think it was a
Cassie
short-lived
Stewart
job.
played Enid, the other punky chick. You know her from Dolls, 1986. She was in the 2002 director's cut of Amadeus, playing
Rocky Amadeus.
Gertrude Schlumberg. Only the director's cut, evidently. She was on the cutting room floor. Other than that,
Oh, I'm sorry, baby. That would have been huge
Ordeal.
because I love Amadeus.
Amadeus. In 1984's Ordeal by Innocence.
This is
And
some
19
British masterpiece theater. Clap,
It is.
clap.
Hidden City in 1987.
Okay.
Yeah. She was in
Still, long
EastEnders, The
career.
Mitchells. The
What
Mitchells.
the
Make It
hell?
True.
She was on EastEnders?
9 episodes of EastEnders.
What? I'm gonna have to. That is my soap opera. I pay
know.
$10 a month or just to watch that. Oh my god! I'm gonna have to deep dive. Yay!
And credited last, Stephen Lee played Ralph Morris, who's a dude who, if you saw him and you're my age, you recognize him from 1,000 things. But then you
I'm
look,
not sure what those 1,000 things were.
sadly,
Like,
he was
like
in.
in high school with you, or were you in a movie? Because I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. He was in War Games in 1983, playing Sergeant Schneider.
So I'm
He
guessing
was-
small role.
He was in The Negotiator in 1998, playing Farley. That was a Samuel L. Jackson, Kevin Spacey joint. He was in
Okay.
2010's Burlesque. This is his final role, starring Cher and oh crap, I was gonna say Lady Gaga, but that's not correct.
No. it's
What's
that
her
other
name?
one.
God damn it! I'd have to click
Christina
on this link.
Aguilera.
Christina Aguilera. Yes.
I never saw it.
Yeah, not a good one. And he played Big Bopper in 1987's La Bamba,
I did see that. So he
Yeah,
had some stuff. He had some
starring
stuff.
Isai Morales.
Mm-hmm.
Show.
It's a thing.
Let's go to the ratings. Dolls
brother. I'm ready.
currently
Mm-hmm.
60% on Rotten
No.
Tomatoes.
No. That's
Do you know
a
what the
lie.
audience gave it?
Take it back. The audience gave it a 94.
51.
No. No. This is like something's not right with the universe because this film is awesome.
Let's
Awesome.
look at the top critics, shall we?
Yeah.
Uh,
Bless us.
Nick Shager from Lessons of Darkness feels like it was made by a trio of monkeys with a $20 budget. Grade D.
What? I want this fella to be tested because he's been on roofies. He's saying jib jab. Perhaps he's mixing his antipsychotics because there's a situation here. I'm having like some kind of cognitive disconnect with the words that are happening here.
Okay, you
What?
ready for this?
What?
Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun
Come on,
Times.
Roger. Come on, Roger.
At some point, Dolls remains only an idea, a concept. It
Ah.
doesn't become an engine to shock and involve us. 2 out of 4. Boom.
What the? Did we watch a different movie? I think there's a mistake. And there's clearly like another movie out there called Dolls, and that's what they're reviewing.
Interesting. Interesting theory.
Mhm.
What is your rating for Dolls? The creatively titled dolls, I might add.
I'm just gonna make it straight. It is
Please.
4 out of 5. F you, Roger Eberts. May you rot in hell.
Interesting. I'm gonna give it 3.5
No.
out of 5.
I reject you. I reject you.
I reject you. 3.5 crazy doll eyes staring at you and then bouncing down the stairs. So that's what I give it.
It is a movie fun for the whole family. It should be watched every year. It never gets old.
It's pretty campy. It's not particularly gruesome, like we said. It's you could definitely sit down with most of your family and kind of let it wash over you.
Maybe not the 2-year-old.
Not the 2-year-old.
It's fun.
I think it's going for fun. I would agree with that. It's going for fun.
It's going for fun. No, it is fun.
It's fun adjacent.
Oh my God. I don't know what's happening. Maybe I'm the one who needs medication because the whole world seems to be spinning off its axis. I don't know
possible.
what's happening now.
It's possible. Sweet
It's like
Jesus.
when we went on that movie review about that movie with was that Tom Cruise where they're robots and they're living above
Oblivion.
Iceland space. Oblivion. And homie was going hard for that. Like it changed his life, and we're like, it's a piece of shit.
It's our friends from Cheap Seat Reviews. Yes. From
now I'm feeling what he's feeling because you and the rest of America has lost their mind.
The rest of America. Let's throw them all in the pot as well. So thank you very much. Go to our page on Facebook. We're on X. We're on Threads. We're on TikTok, Instagram. The list goes on and on, for goodness sake. We're on YouTube. All sorts of good stuff. So make sure you subscribe, you like, you do what you got to do. You can also email us, the podcast that wouldn't die at Gmail. We are on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify, anywhere the finer podcasts are available. So click that subscribe button, won't you?
That's right.
Aaron, what is your social media situation?
I have much media, but I spend too much time on TikTok. I hope they make it illegal because clearly I can't. It is the fentanyl for me. I cannot get enough of TikTok, and it gives me a headache. And yet I still keep death scroll. What's the next terrible video they will show me? Those bastards.
That's a question.
I of course manage the podcast that wouldn't die on the Ticker Talker. Personally, I'm on Instagram. I am the Cult of Aaron. I'm also Don't Feed the Pigeons. And I'm on Artsy and First Dibs. So it's the holiday season. Check it out. Aaron Doherty.
It's the holiday season. Who knows what holiday it'll be when this episode's released, though. So it could be Arbor Day for all we know. Yeah. Each week we try to discuss, viewer, listener mail or comments on social media. So Aaron, I'm going to kick it to you. Who's got some shit to say to us?
Fester Cuthbert wrote in to discuss the classic Housebound and said it is a movie he enjoys with his family while they're eating pie every Thanksgiving. Not to be missed.
Our friends from New Zealand, I imagine. Good times.
Friends, not friends. It does take place in New Zealand.
Absolutely.
And if you like little furry creatures, you'll love that. It's very similar to Rocker Dudes Under the Stairs, only the accents and the height change. So it says Fester.
Fair enough. Well, we don't know what the Rocker Dudes Under the Stairs. They may have accents. We have no idea. Who's to say? There's the accent right there. Sweet Jesus. Next week, we've got a special guest, our friend Daryl from the Cage Rage podcast.
He's still
coming
going
on.
strong. Still got the rage. Still got the cage.
Absolutely. We're going to be discussing the Nicolas Cage horror classic Mandy.
He gave and he gave without taking, but they sent him away.
But I sent you away. You can watch Mandy right now on Hulu. On
Quite
let's see.
frankly, I need to watch Mandy right now.
You might need to. AMC Plus, Roku, Hoopla, Tubi, Shudder, Pluto, Plex. It's everywhere, for God's sakes. So there isn't enough Barry Manilow in the soundtrack. I think we can all agree on that. So
I just want to say that I'm going to Vegas again, and once again, Manilow is dark when I'm there. So I think he's hiding from me.
he might be. The word is out. Love
Son of a
Manilow.
bitch. I was there 3 times this summer. I have one more thing in my notes, and
Please.
you tell me if this is from the movie or just a thought I had. You ready?
Okay. Yes.
Fuck you, Clowny.
Yes, that's from the movie. That's when the evil father starts smashing the punch doll.
Oh,
his-
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good moment. Good moment. Anywho, back to Mandy. Send in your favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, and questions, and we may talk about it on the show, like we did with Fester Cuthbert, for example. So, thank you very much, and be well.
Fester has always been a loyal fan of ours.